Alright, it's time for a science lesson. While I'm still able to. Sorry if I cough a bit too much. I'm going to show things. I've been saying a lot of unusual, bizarre stuff, and for a while. I say things like how I am genetically immortal and I have cell immortality. I can regenerate cells, kind of like Deadpool and shit like that. I'm like a real life Wolverine. And I say all kinds of stuff. I say that I'm from a different species. I got microchips in my brain. Yeah, clearly insane crap, right? I'm gonna prove it. I do it all the time. I prove this shit all the time. But I'm gonna do a little science lesson here. We're gonna use like Wikipedia resources, a few mainstream websites and stuff to back up what I say. Because this stuff, some people who've been doing research, I say these things and they know at least some of this, but they don't know most of it. But they know that I'm talking about something real. But a lot of people don't have a clue, and I think that's fucking crazy. I'm really sick. I'm gonna try and get this done. Otherwise, I'll just try again later. Sorry if I cough through this because I'm so sick. I also have a giant parasite inside me, kind of like like one of those what is it? Chest bursters from Aliens, kind of like that. Only it's like these things grow almost 100 feet long, and I've got other shit that the government infected me with some parasites and stuff to ensure that they finish their job because I won't fucking die because I keep regenerating and shit. More than Deadpool. Anyway, I'm gonna die soon anyway. I'm saying I'm immortal, but yeah, I'm gonna die. How does that work? Well, well, I've just upset that worm inside me. It's starting to... I just woke it up. It's starting to attack. Oh, shit. Alright, I'm gonna try it. That's not good. Bad timing. I've upset it. Alright, here I'm gonna try and get this done. I need surgery to remove that shit out of me. To pull that shit out of me. It's killing the insides. So here we go. So let's start with I've got a bunch of stuff here. So let's just get the microchip shit done. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, I'll do. Okay, so this here is just, you're not going to see it very well from just to show I'm not making this up. Here's some of my head scans. I've got all kinds of microchips and shit in me. I've got that's the one in my section, not just one microchip, a section of microchips in my basal ganglia, the gateway to memory, and basically I was grown with this stuff in. This wasn't put into me. I was grown with it. So I've got two parents. Divine intervention or extraterrestrial intervention or what the fuck's going on there? But this shit's real. I've got a section in my basal ganglia. I've got one in each ventricle. Increases my internal bus speed. Oh yeah. And I've got one in my eye. The government tried to remove my entire eye. They wanted to drill holes in my head, cut pieces of my brain out to study this shit. They wanted to take my whole eye out to study the one in my eye. I used to have some autoimmune problems related to it here and there. Long story there, but not good that I'm coughing through this, but I'll just do the best I can. Alright, let's just close that. So you might hear some things about vaccines and babies being used for it and stuff like that. It's only a small amount of that's true. So if you're watching in the right resolution, I don't know if this is going to upload at the right resolution, so hopefully you'll be able to read this. So we got MRC-5. Here we go. MRC-5 is a diploid human cell culture line. Composed of fibroblasts derived from lung tissue of a 14-week-old aborted Caucasian male fetus. What that shit? A 14-week-old aborted Caucasian male. Well, this is actually I'm gonna get a thing up here. A lot of the vaccines you have today, they're from my people, my genetic immortality people, and they've been growing the this is from one of my people from 1966. A baby from 1966. They've been growing his cells for decades ever since, and they've been inserting this shit into your vaccines. They've been infecting his cells and using it as a host to do DNA translation and stuff. It's really sick, the shit that they're actually doing. I've got to remember to mention that stuff. There's a lot to say here. I'm only going to cover some of this. This isn't going to be a complete video. So here we go. We've got MRC5. It comes up, the first thing Wikipedia is talking about a 14-week-old aborted Caucasian male fetus. There was a female one in 1962. This one's from 1966. The fetus that they're using for all this, and a lot of other stuff that you'll never hear about. So. Alright, let's do a little bit of a read. There's going to be a bit of reading here. I've got a giant worm in my belly and it's attacking me. And other stuff as well. The government infected me with parasites to try and kill me because I won't fucking die. I will die, but I'm immortal, but I'm not. I can still die. Let's read this. Okay. Hopefully I don't have to redo this video. I'm doing a shit job here because I can't stop coughing. I actually brought some liquid here to try and see if it will pacify it. There's a reason why I changed my appearance too. You don't want to see what I look like now. Look like Deadpool. Got to get to that to remember saying that. So, MRC5. We're in the Wikipedia entry for MRC5. So, you can look this up yourself. I'm going to read it right now. MRC5, Medical Research Council. Sounds a bit like something else, actually. We'll get to it. Cell strain 5 is a diploid human cell culture line composed of fibroblasts, like we just said before, about a 14-week-old aborted Caucasian male fetus. It's actually from the UK. You know, one of my people from our old home in the UK before the others white people arrived. We're a different species, mind you. I said that before. The cell line was isolated by J.P. Jacobs and colleagues in September 1966. There we go. So 1966 from the 7th population doubling of the original strain, and MRC5 cells themselves are known to reach senescence in around 45 population doublings. Applications. MRC5 cells were used to produce several vaccines, including MMR, varicella, polio in past years. Infected MRC5 cells cannot secrete the virus, but be cultured in large volumes, suitable for commercial production. Did you see what I just said? Have a read yourself, and if you didn't understand what I just said. Let's go next one. So you got immortalized cell line. Now, this is actually one of my people they've triggered our immortality mode. So we've got we're a different species, and we have they now call it genetic superpowers and all kinds of stuff. Like we're like real life Wolverines and Deadpools and shit. So yeah, I'm immortal. I can still die, but I'm immortal. I'm pretty sure if you cut my head off, I'm gonna die because I can't grow back everything. I can't grow back tooth enamel. But I've grown back fingertips and all kinds of shit. That should kill you. Long story there. But anyway, so immortalized cell line. You've got immortal cells. It's a real thing. So this is going to be a bit of reading, just for anyone who doesn't know this stuff. There's something I just want to know. What is it? Cellular. There was something I wanted to show somewhere regarding telomere, with things that I say about the end of my DNA. Everyone's DNA is telomere, and the way my genome works is so there's two switches to the like a God mode, and one of them regenerates the end of the DNA. So basically, you get eternal cell replications. You can just regenerate cells at as fast as physics will allow, forever. I just keep doing it. But everyone else, you can only divide cells a set number of times. So as I said before, it's like a normal is about for this is like 45 replications, and then it runs out and changes mode. But my cells don't do that; they just can do this forever. So immortalized cell line. You can look this up on Wikipedia. Just so I'm doing this, just so you can do a bit of research yourself into the stuff that I'm saying, because this is very important. I'm probably going to be dead very soon. I live every day that could be my last. So I want to get this information out while I can, the best I can. It's going to be doing a shit job because I'm so sick. I may pass out during this video, so I'm just going to do the best job I can. An immortalized cell line is a population of cells from a multicellular organism which would normally not proliferate indefinitely, but due to mutation have evaded normal cellular senescence and instead can keep undergoing division. The cells can therefore be grown for prolonged periods in vitro, like it's in a lab. The mutations required for immortality can occur naturally or be intentionally induced for experimental purposes. Immortal cell lines are a very important tool for research in the biochemistry and cell biology of multicellular organisms. Immortalized cell lines have also found uses in biotechnology. This just sounds like superhero sci-fi shit, yeah, but this shit's real. And this is all based on my people. There's a lot I wanted to say about that. I just got to remember to say it because I'm so sick. I could talk. I could talk for a week straight on all this shit, and a lot of information starting to come out about this, but it's going to be a number of years before any of this is properly understood by the public, and so much misinformation gets sent out with a little bit of truth. An immortalized cell line should not be confused with stem cells, which can also divide indefinitely, but form a normal part of the development of a multicellular organism. Sorry for this coughing. The pain I'm in from this giant parasite I've got inside my body. Relation to the natural biology and biology and pathology. There are various immortal cell lines. Some of them are normal cell lines, e.g., derived from stem cells. Other immortalized cell lines are the in vitro equivalent of cancerous cells. Cancer occurs when a somatic cell which normally cannot divide undergoes mutations which cause deregulation of the normal cell cycle controls, leading to uncontrolled proliferation. I just want to say, the way cancer works is cancer actually has, it's not really an immortal cell, but cancer cells grow rapidly and they stop doing their function and they just consume resources and they just rapidly multiply. And depending on the type, basically depending on how fast they multiply and how much resources they siphon, a cancer would typically function like a vampire upon your body and just use up all its resources and just overrun your body. Your body just gets life sucked out of it by cancer. Cancer cells they're not truly immortal. They're actually weak. They're weaker than normal cells. Their cell walls are typically weaker, so that when you poison or doing something that damages the cell wall, targeted damage like chemo and all that kind of crap, the cancer cells are already weak. They can't repair themselves because they're already broken and dysfunctional. All they do is just replicate themselves and consume resources to do so. So things that would normally that you damage your cells would kill the cancer cells. So this is why they use poisons and stuff like this and radiation to kill cancer. It hurts your other cells, but it kills the cancer because the cancer's weak. But with what I got, this God mode shit, our cells don't get weaker; they actually get stronger. And then they can just regenerate forever. We can regenerate the DNA itself, the telomere at the end. And I'm hoping that these articles, I'm not sure if these articles I've got here, I'm going to mention the telomere thing. I might have to look that up to find the right article to find something somewhere just to show and talking about. Or otherwise I might have to mention this manually. So anyway, it was about cancer. We were talking about cancer. Where's the cancer? There we go. Immortalized cell lines Immortalized cell lines have undergone similar mutations, allowing a cell cycle which would normally not be able to divide to be proliferated in vitro, like in a lab. The origins of some immortal cell lines, for example, HeLa human cells, are from naturally occurring cancers. So cancer is like pretty crap for any. There's not much use because it's so weak and it dies anyway. It doesn't really live forever. It replicates with broken DNA as fast as it can until it just stops working, and it dies really easy. And it's not really useful for anything. My cells, on the other hand, are literally the holy grail. The genetic function of this god mode shit that I got that makes us immortal is quite literally the holy grail. The role and uses. Immortalized cell lines are widely used as a simple model for more complex biological systems. For example, for the analysis of biochemistry and cell biology of mammalian, including human cells. The main advantage of using an immortal cell line for research is its immortality. The cells can be grown indefinitely in culture. So, like, you could. This is what when I say doctors keep trying to take samples of my tissue samples to grow my cells and shit like this. A lot of crazy people say shit like that, but that's just they're just crazy. But this is they're getting these ideas from somewhere because this is real shit that they've heard from somewhere, and I think that they're the target of this stuff. Well, I am the target of this stuff. I've got this function. This is why doctors and shit. This is why I'm in danger around doctors. This shit always happens. They take samples. They cut pieces out of me. They try to experiment on me. They try to kidnap me and ship me. They try to ship me across the world into Europe over and over. They tried offering me shitloads of money to be their guinea pig because I wouldn't fucking die. And they found out what I was. A long story to this, but I'm not safe around it. Like, if you had like an alien that crash landed on this world, he wouldn't be safe in a hospital or around doctors or anything. The government come and kidnap him or whatever. Like, an alien wouldn't be safe. I'm less safe than an alien would be. I'm not saying I'm an alien. I'm not it's 2020 now. I was going to say 2019. It's 2020. In 2020. I must be the only one these days who's not saying I'm an alien. I'm the pure genome that everyone else is saying is an alien. Like these conspiracy theory shit. I'm not saying I'm an alien, but everyone else is. But I'm in more danger because of what I'm made of, my DNA, and what it can do. I'm in more danger than an alien would be. Normally I would put in vitro. The origins of some immortal cell lines are naturally occurring cancer. I already said that. What we got here? Simplifies. Here we go, including the main advantage of using an immortal cell line for research is its immortality. The cells can be grown indefinitely in culture. They've been doing this. They've been growing my people's cells. This sounds like Final Fantasy VII Sephiroth level shit. Well, this shit's real. This simplifies analysis of biology of cells which would otherwise have a limited lifespan. Immortalized cell lines can also be cloned, giving rise to a clonal population which can, in turn, be propagated indefinitely. You see what? Pay attention to what I just said. Like, you read this stuff yourself and go over it and see what I'm actually saying. What that suggests. I'm not suggesting that they could do certain things. I'm saying they've already done more than you can probably imagine. If I'm showing that I've got microchips in my head and shit, and I really do, and I can show the scans and shit, maybe you should think that's just some really funky shit that's going on. You maybe revise your version of what you think's going on in the world. So now, let's find where I was up to. Which can in turn be propagated indefinitely. This allows an analysis to be repeated many times on genetically identical cells, which is, imagine making clones and using experiments on them. Imagine what they've done with my cells. And maybe there's more copies of me. Have a little something about genetic. This allows the analysis to be repeated many times in genetically identical cells, which is desirable for repeatable scientific experiments. This is in Wikipedia, so yeah, you maybe should pay attention to this, what I'm saying here, eh? The alternative, performing an analysis on primary cells from multiple tissue donors, does not have this advantage. Immortalized cell lines find use in biotechnology, where they are a cost-effective way of growing cells similar to those found in a multicellular organism in vitro. The cells are used for a wide variety of purposes, from testing toxicity of compounds or drugs to production of eukaryotic proteins. I've got to remember. I really wanted to mention an important point here when I do the other cellular thingy. I wanted to explain. What was it? Something a bit. Oh yeah, the testing, the experiments and testing and shit. Like the stuff they've done to me, and what they're actually doing with my cells and my people's cells. Like I just mentioned, like I come from a family who do not look like me. But I do come from that family. Like, what's going on? I'm a different species, and I have these other people in my family that don't look like. What's going on there? Right, the situation is more complicated. It'll take me a bit to explain, but I am a different species of human altogether. Long story to this. It takes some explaining to do to understand the situation. So limitations, changes to normal origins. While immortalized cell lines often originate from a well-known tissue type, they have undergone significant mutations to become immortal. It's not the case with my cells, it's a bit different. This can alter the biology of the cell and must be taken into consideration for any analysis. Further, cell lines can change genetically over multiple passages, leading to phenotype differences among isolated and potentially different experimental results depending on which and what strain, blah 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 blah. Contamination with other cells, that's obvious. Methods of generation, it can be a naturally occurring cancer, which is pretty useless. Introduction to viral genome, no. Artificial expression of key proteins, this is what I want to mention before. Required for immortality, for example, telomerase, that's what I'm talking about. This is the blank section at the end of your DNA, the telomere sections. It's to do with this. This is we regenerate the end of our DNA. Instead of using it up, we can just when it starts running low, we just regenerate it. However, it's part of the God mode function that we have. That's a lot of explaining though, which prevents degradation of chromosome N. See, chromosome N ends during DNA replication in eukaryotes. That's what I'm talking about with the end of your DNA. I'm going to have to explain it now so I don't forget later. So at the end of your DNA is a blank section. It's just blank. And this is like a buffer for cell replication. So when your cell divides into two and creates two daughter cells, what happens is a section at the end of the DNA is cut off as part of the process of dividing. So you lose a little chip at the end of your DNA. So each time this happens, each time you replicate, you lose a little chip at the end. And once all that blank DNA runs out, it starts eating into your active DNA, and your active DNA is actually at the end there, the last 3 or so percent. The rest of your DNA is what they call junk DNA. It's like mostly left over from old evolutions. It's not really that active anymore, if at all. But most of the active DNA is at the end, so it starts eating into your active DNA, and your DNA becomes more unstable and more dysfunctional. The more you try, the older you get, the more your cells replicate as they need to, and they're less likely to replicate, and you age, and you inevitably get cancer. Now, I can get cancer, but not in the same way. I'm very resistant to most cancers. You can say that because of the function of how my genome works, I can hypothetically be susceptible to certain cancers, but I'm generally resistant to a lot of cancers, but I'm not cancer. I'm not 100% immune to cancer, but I can get it. But I don't get cancer due to age. Just the natural aging process doesn't give me cancer like that. So we've got methods of generation, examples. Okay, that's about that for that. There's so many articles I could get up here over this stuff. I'm just kind of trying to rush through this. So we got cellular senescence. This is the mitosis of cells, and the cellular senescence is a phenomenon characterized by the cessation of cell division. In their groundbreaking experiments during the early 1960s, Leonard Hayflick and Paul Moorhead found that normal human fetal fibroblasts in culture reach a maximum of approximately 50 cell population doublings before becoming senescent. This process is known as replicative senescence, or the Hayflick limit. Hayflick's discovery of mortal cells paved the path for the discovery and understanding of cellular aging molecular pathways. Cellular senescence can be initiated by a wide variety of stress-inducing factors. This is like Deadpool kind of stuff. So what do they do to the Deadpool? They put him through hell and try to stress his body out to cause the initiation of certain genetic triggers. Now, under certain stressful situations, there's all kinds of genetic triggers that can activate you, things that are already in your DNA as a defense mechanism. But when it comes to my people, we've got like some really funky God mode shit going on. So it's not predictable how to try and trigger it. Like you get infections, damage, extreme emotional stress, any kind of normally life-threatening situation. Now, obviously, the experiments and shit that have been done to me and everything. It's I was triggered long ago. All this shit. Long story to that, but so stress-inducing factors and stuff. This is what they did to Deadpool. So he had cancer from whatever cause he had, and they triggered this. So he would have been hypothetically in the movie. He would have been one of my people without knowing it. So they've noticed that he is, and then they've tried to trigger his God mode in his DNA based on my people, and it's turned on, and his regeneration is kicked in. So Deadpool looks like crap because this is what this part of the cell regeneration is. You grow more cells than you can shed. Now you got Wolverine and Deadpool and stuff. It's based on this real thing that I've got, but obviously these are fictional stories. It's not 100% accurate. There's some things that they've either got wrong or they had to change just to make it fit with a movie to make it fit better. But it's based on this real thing, on like a real life Deadpool. So these stress factors include both environmental and internal damaging events. Here's what I say about damage is triggered my God mode. Abnormal cellular growth, oxidative stress. Sounds like what they did to Deadpool, isn't it? Oxidative stress, autophagy factors, among many other things. The physiological importance of cell senescence has been attributed to prevention of carcinogenesis and more recently aging, development and tissue repair. See what I'm talking about? This is all what I'm saying. And it's all with these stories of mutants with superpowers and shit. It's actually based on this shit, real shit. And I'm one of the, you could say that I'm one of the real life X-Men. Anyway, cellular mechanisms, stress response to DNA damage. This is a long paragraph. Maybe I should read all this, but you can read this yourself. I'm just trying to read it. A few important. There we go. Mechanicalistic, whatever it is. Replicative senescence can be triggered by a DNA damage response due to the shortening of telomeres. So this is what happens when you get cancer, the shortening of telomeres. So when you run out of the telomere and DNA damage, as I'm saying here, what happens? It eats into your end of your DNA after you run out of telomere. And if it eats into it enough that it can damage it enough that a function doesn't work. It's like if you take computer code and you remove bits of it, you know, anything could happen. Something might work differently, or something just completely break and die. The whole thing will die. So if you were to do this over and over and over, and you get all kinds of unpredictable results, every now and then you're going to get some weird shit happen. So this is what they try to do when they try to get normal human cells, to try and make them into a fucked up, semi-broken cancer, like pseudo-immortal. They're not like my cells. My cells are true. They've got true immortality, but they try to do this in normal DNA damage response. So cells can also be induced to senescence by DNA damage in response to elevated reactive oxygen species. It's like, does it sound familiar to Deadpool, doesn't it? Activation of oncogenes and cell-to-cell fusion. Normally, cell senescence is reached through a combination of a variety of factors, both telomere shortening and oxidative stress. The DNA response to the arrests cell cycle progression until DNA damage such as double strand breaks, blah blah, are repaired. But if you read all this, it's what I've been talking about for ages. I say some really crazy shit, but this is all real. And if you don't know this, it's gonna. This is like a very big rabbit hole, and it might be disturbing when you realize what's going on and what I am. Anyway, that's what the role of telomeres. Telomeres are a DNA tandem repeats at the end of the chromosomes that shorten during each cycle of cell division. As I was just saying, this is what they do. That each time you cell divide, your little bit's cut off. Lately, the role of telomeres in cellular senescence has aroused general interest, especially with the view of a possible genetic adverse effects of cloning. Whoops, hang on a second. Testing. There we go, I'm back. I just clicked my... Let me fix this up. I pressed the wrong thing, hang on. 1, 2, 3, there we go. All fixed. Okay, so what I accidentally clicked my voice mod, my voice morpher, and it's overridden audio settings. Sorry about that. So basically, if you like trying to clone a typical human, like probably whoever's reading this, or like the Dolly the sheep example, you're also cloning the telomere reduction, and so you can't really clone human people properly like that. It ain't gonna work. But with my immortal cells, I can be cloned forever. You can just clone me for my cells and do whatever the fuck you want with my DNA forever. My DNA is worth more than gold. Though, this is worth more than, you can say that this is worth more than an entire planet. This kind of immortalized cell shit that I've got, because this isn't just a like a cancerous broken function. This is an entire complex evolutionary thing. It's like a highly evolved system. However the fuck it happened, there's a long story to that. But the successive shortening of the chromosomal telomeres with each cell cycle is also believed to limit the number of cell divisions of the cell, which of course it does, contributing to aging. It's a big factor to aging, and humans have a capped lifespan, as mammals do, because of this telomere function. You run out of telomere, and your cell can't divide properly anymore, and each time it does divide, your DNA becomes more and more unstable because it's eaten into your DNA. But it doesn't do much; it just keeps regenerating, building back up that empty telomere. But there are certain species who don't have that function. You might hear about these certain species that I say are immortal, like lobsters. In a certain way, lobsters are immortal. I'm not sure if they have if they have the same kind of function or it's something completely different. But there's certain creatures, certain life forms on this planet that have different types of immortality, and they can basically live forever. But they die from other things. I think with lobsters, I think it's their size. They just grow too big, and I think as they grow too big, and something to do with their shell or something. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Aging. Some cells do not age and are described as being biologically immortal. Here's a little rest of his state in which the rate of mortality in senescence is stable or decreasing, thus decoupling it from chronological age. Various unicellular and multicellular species, including some vertebrates, achieve this state either through their existence or after living. It's basically someone saying, so just what I said, yeah, like certain species, like certain vertebrates and stuff like that can technically live forever. I mean, you hear like you get 5,000-year-old trees and things like that, and vertebrates that live. I think, isn't it basically talking about what I just said? And theoretically, it is possible upon the discovery of the exact mechanism of biological immortality to genetically engineer cells with the same capability. So yeah, so all these scientists doing fucked up shit, they're trying to use my cells, and I'll say this right now before I forget. What they're doing is they're taking cells from the likes of me. They're growing them in labs, and they can just use them as a cell culture and just keep growing them and do whatever the fuck they want with them. And one of the many things they're doing is they are infecting these cells with viruses and shit, and they're using they're creating viruses in such a way that it takes pieces of my genome, select pieces of my genome, and then they insert this into you as a vaccine. And they say, okay, we're infecting you with this dead virus, and even if the virus is dead, some DNA transcription and shit can actually happen, but it often isn't dead, or they'll use it as they'll do two viruses. They'll have a dead virus that you know about, and then they'll have another one that infected you that they don't tell you about. There's all kinds of fucked up shit that goes on there. So basically what happens is they're actually injecting you with these vaccines. They're injecting you with the cells of the likes of me and a 1966 fetus. So when they say that, they're injecting people with fetal cells and stuff like that, it's only partially true. A lot of this is based on a 1966 aborted fetus. The cells they've been growing in a cell culture from all the way from 1966, because these are immortal cells, they're still growing. They have no chronological age. One of those cells today is identical to one in 1966. So you see how much danger I'm in with these people are fucking doing with a living test subject like me. Can you imagine what they have done to me already to trigger this God made? I should have died over it. I've been nuked in radiation chambers, bits and pieces cut out of me. I need surgery to remove a parasite that they put into me. I'm going to die any time now. No one will help me. I need surgery. I need to rip this thing out of me, and then I need to get rid of the other parasites I put in me. I can cure it all, but the big one, the giant worm that's in me, I need this removed ASAP. That's what's going to kill me immediately. So, senescent cells affect tumor suppression, wound healing, and possibly embryonic placental development and a pathological role in age-related diseases. What else we got? Some cells do not age and are described as being biologically immortal. Genetically engineer. The length of the telomere strand has senescence effects. Telomere shortening activates extensive alterations in alternative RNA splicing that reproduce senescent toxins such as progerin, which degrade tissue and make it more prone to failure. Basically saying that they need more of my shit, and it's worth more than gold. and they can do some really good things with my cells, or some very, very evil things. And they're that's what I was saying. So they're injecting you with the cells of the likes of me and my kind of abilities. And what they're doing is they're doing the virus is like the middleman. The virus takes pieces of DNA out of the cells of the likes of me, and they take that DNA into your cells, and then they infect your cells. And when they go in your cells, these viruses that use that DNA they took from me, they select pieces of DNA and insert it in key locations of your DNA. So the cells that get infected, it changes the DNA of them, and that can produce all kinds of effects. Some of them positive, some of them negative. So if you might have heard about creating super soldiers, gene therapy and stuff. This is what they do. This is what it is. So you could use it to basically try and to modify a normal human, to modify at least some of their cells. That you might render them sterile if you're unlucky. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll be able to have children. But those children, even if they don't end up being sterile, those children will they won't reproduce the same abilities that are cultivated through gene therapy. They'll just have their same old. It's only affecting the infected genes, in the cells that are infected. But you can use gene therapy like this to harvest my genetic abilities and insert them into a normal soldier to give them at least some of my abilities. And you think they haven't done this already? But at the same time, this is Russian roulette. If you were to attempt that, at least 99 times out of every 100, you're just gonna give them autoimmune problems or cancer or whatever. You're just gonna fuck up. It's like if you're taking bits of code and you just change them out of a computer program. Chances are you're just gonna break it. But if you try it again and again and again, and you observe the results, every now and then you might get something that seems to make it work a bit better. So there's a lot of harm, but there's some potential good in it. But a lot of people suffer and die along the way. So there's a lot more here. I won't go through everything. So signaling pathways, characteristics of senescent cells. Like there's so much. Like if you go through, this is Wikipedia, so it'll have like links to different things. And Wikipedia is normally like watered down in a lot of things, but when it comes to stuff like this, it's worth looking into on Wikipedia. Other subjects that are like politically related, you're not going to get shit on Wikipedia. But at least with this kind of stuff, it's not so tainted with bias. But look elsewhere. Just look over the internet. I'm just offering this as Wikipedia as a starting point. And I didn't get this stuff off Wikipedia. I just went and grabbed all this stuff. I've got other links here up the top here, tons of shit. I just grabbed links from all kinds of places to see what I could find to back up what I say. I'm not getting this information from all these websites. I've known this for a long time. I've been experimented for a long time. I'm the target of this kind of shit. So this is why I know all this shit. Fuck this worm. Alright, so what I think I'll just go to the next thing. But no, just to show this. Let's just get rid of these. I'll just close them. Okay, let's go. The Ashkenazi Jews. Interesting topic that I'm got to be really careful what I say here, because I want to stick this on Facebook and without it getting banned. So these people who say that they're Ashkenazi Jews are not Ashkenazi Jews. Let's take the word Jew out of it, because Ashkenazis and Jews are two separate things. Jews are a guild. I can't say anything more than that here because I don't want the trouble of getting banned. But Jews are not a race or a religion or anything. They're a guild from an old guild, and they're pretending to be someone else. They're pretending to be my people. So when it comes to the true chosen people of the Torah and the Old Testament Bible and all that kind of stuff, There's no Jews in that. And these are the different people. The chosen people in those books that Jews and Christians and even Muslims follow, they're actually white people, the whitest of people with red hair. So if you hear, it says Ashkenazi Jews. Let's just say Ashkenazi, the true Ashkenazis. 99% of the people who call themselves Ashkenazi are not Ashkenazi. They're just from this guild of not allowed to say it. So get rid of the word Jew here. Descended from 350 people, study fine. So it's basically there's one group of these people who actually are these people, and there's only a tiny minority of them. But as you can see, these are the people of Scotland and Ireland. The white redheads. These aren't brown. They don't have brown skin and black hair and brown eyes. They have red hair and green eyes and white skin, just like the old Bible and Bible books and everything say. But here's from it's from Times of Israel. Now this is from a Jewish website admitting this. These are the true chosen people, are the white red-headed people, largely, mostly around Scotland and Ireland. They are not the current Middle Easterners or anything like that. These are completely different people. These are imposters. But there's a lot of misinformation and stuff. But so, anyway, these are just one small group who didn't make it into Scotland. I'll show you a map soon. You'll see this. So we go a distribution of red hair map. So we'll show. Here's a good one. Yeah, just use this one. This will do. Let's just move my avatar actually. Okay, so you see here, in red is the most strongest population of it. So you got Scotland, which is north of the British Isles, and the Northern Ireland, and is that Wales? I think it is. But it's mainly around Scotland, right? Scotland and Northern Ireland, and you can see over on the far right there. I think that's the Volga River. There's a group of my people who are clustered over there, but they're largely separated, and they're not that really. I don't think there's any purebreds left. But basically the main stock of my different species of people are pretty much the Scottish people. And there's the Basques. They potently have our DNA. They're mixed people, but they mixed with our people, and they kept some of the culture and language. I'll get to that. So you see, this is where people come from. This is one of these people from as far northwest as you can get. So what we got here, Basque. Here we go. Just get my avatar out of the way. The origin of the Basques and of their language is not conclusively known, though the most accepted current theory is that early forms of Basque developed before the arrival of Indo-European languages in the area, including the Romance languages that geographically surrounded the Basque-speaking region. So what everyone's saying is that my people were there long before anyone else. My people were everywhere long before everyone else. We are a very ancient people, and the Basque language these are just mixed people who are mixed in with white people who are mixed in with my people. They're not genetically pure, but because of their genetic makeup and evolutionary choices they made, they managed to retain the certain potencies of certain traits, and they kept they kept some of the old culture and language and stuff that's all been long forgotten. This might be the language I'm talking about 13,000 years ago, that kind of shit. Anyway, you see, I'm not making this stuff. There's a big rabbit hole here. Let's see if I think I did some more. I wanted to show some more stuff about the Basque people and the red hair and language and stuff, but I'm not sure if I had all that stuff. So here we go. We'll just go to the gene stuff. So we got this is one of the most known things. MC1R gene. This is what they used to say. This is the only reason redheads are different than everyone else. They're not a different species. They don't have genetic superpowers. No, they're bastards. They're corrupt. They got a genetic fault. Maybe they're inbred or some shit. They're failures. They're weak inferior, broken, and it's just this one broken gene from inbreeding or some shit that they got. That they got all these bizarre shit happened all at once, just the wrong gene at the wrong time, just fucked everything up, right? Oh, bullshit. So this was the old myth, that was this one gene. And I went through all this shit as an experiment target. I know all this shit, but I don't understand that a lot of people don't know. So even today, a lot of people propagate the myth that it's just this one MC1R gene. This is one of the first that have been publicly identified. And this is really old now, but the myth still goes on. So this is just the one gene, and then others were discovered. More and more was discovered, and then they found this person, that person. They share the same trait. They have the same physical traits too. Track down this, track down that, and they basically confirmed what used to be known is that okay, this is an entire actual genome. It's not a mutation. It's not a flaw. This, and then they were discovering all the superpowers we have and shit like that. But anyway, I just said before. I said the MRC5 and we got MC1R. It's a bit coincidental. they sound so similar. But anyway, this is what the receptor, the gene that they used to say was the main cause of hair color. I'll just say something about hair color and eye color. So with our hair and eye color, it can change within a range depending on environmental and personal factors, mostly environmental factors. And if you look at pictures of my hair and eye color across my life, it has changed within those ranges, as is typical for my people. But our hair and eye colors are, there's a complex network of things that create our hair and eye colors, whereas the rest of you is a very simple cause, like a very simple genetic cause, but there's a whole bunch of environmental factors and stuff that affect our hair and eye color. It's all complicated. So I was going to show this for, okay, we got MC1R has also been reported to be involved in cancer, independent of skin coloration. So this isn't to do with actually my people, but about developmental processes and susceptibility to infections and pain. Like this is talking about a completely different genome. So, for example, AIDS. AIDS is obviously the black population's got a massive AIDS problem, and white people have much less, but they're all pretty much susceptible to it, right? But then you hear about there's these certain people who seem to be immune to AIDS or almost immune to AIDS. What's going on there? Well, actually, my people we're not fully immune to AIDS, but we are very resistant to it, and the simple reason is because we are so genetically distant to the rest of you. AIDS is compatible with I'm assuming that you're not one of my people, whoever's listening to this, which is to be expected. There's very few of us left, but we're so genetically distant that normal human diseases tend, not all of them, but at least some of them don't work on us, at least not as well, because we're not as compatible with that virus or whatever, because it's kind of evolved or tailor-made for humans, for the other humans of a different genome. This is why you get animal diseases that just don't work on humans, because they require certain gene sequences that they interact with and feed off, basically, that the other species don't have. But every now and then you get something that works for across species, and you get plagues that, like the pig virus and shit like that. It doesn't happen often, but every now and then it does, and it can be devastating. But this is because we're so genetically different. We're a different species. This is why we have a resistance to things like AIDS. So there's a lot I could say here, but it's something to look up if anyone wants to look into that. I'm trying not to pass out it because this giant worm I've got in my belly is doing things. Okay, I'll skip that. You just thought I'd show it. Okay, so I got red head. Okay, redhead genetic superpowers. So if I say, okay, I come from a different species and we have genetic superpowers, and people are saying that we're like X-Men mutants and shit like that, like, it sounds fucking crazy. But look, here we go. I'll look this up on Google, and we've got New York Post. Science shows redheads have genetic superpowers. We got New York Post, another one. Science, it's the same one. Here we got news.com.au. Redheads have genetic superpowers. Science says, and these are all around 2017. So late 2017, this stuff started becoming public. And there's a lot more to go. There's going to be a lot of changes with information that comes out. There's still a lot more to come out. So we got what is GQ? I don't know what that says. It says science confirms redheads are equipped with some weird genetic superpowers. They have a higher pain threshold. They know when it's getting cold. We're hypersensitive to temperature, but we've got a higher pain threshold. We don't need any vitamin D. In fact, we generate our own. You know, when the sun of this solar system dies, unless you've evolved some bizarre shit to survive without it, you need that sun. I don't. I can go into a spaceship right now in artificial light, live the rest of my life perfectly fine. I don't need sunlight to generate vitamin D, for example. I generate that shit inside my body independently. But even other white people, they still need some degree of sun. They're just efficient at it. But I'm something completely different. I can create this stuff inside my body. And you need the sun to help you generate that. That's a bit concerning, because if if the rest of mankind hasn't worked out a way to generate vitamin D when this sun, if you have to leave this world and the sun's getting unstable and it's in its final stages, you're gonna have to find some way to generate the sunlight, simulate it in order to generate vitamin D. It's going to be really complicated to be able to survive off this without this sun. I mean, it's possible, but it's going to be not easy unless you can infuse yourself with my genome or some shit. Who knows? We got scientific research shows redheads have genetic superpowers. Usually people are maligned and criticized by society. We'll get to that. There's a reason why we're so hated. That's consciousreminder.com. Don't know that website. We've got this is as you sound. This is all over the place. This isn't some random bizarre website making shit up. You look this stuff up. It's actually getting quite well known. Redheads have genetic superpowers. Mary Clee, Australia. Redheads have genetic research shows the power of silence. Science trends. Here we go. From Science Trends. Redheads, they have genetic superpowers. Science Trends. Here's one saying 4 superpowers redheads have. We have a different, completely different skeleton, a different number of bones, even a different number of teeth, and look, we are a different species, and we may look, if we dye our hair, we may look pretty much like you. Unless you know what you look for, we could pass as you, but the closer you look, the more different we are. And here we go. No, redhead people don't have genetic suicide from superpowers. From Ranker.com. Here we go. Editor's note. We've corrected a previous version of this article, which incorrectly claimed redheads have genetic superpowers. Read the updated version. Ranker.com. That sounds like a fact-checking website. And we know how anti-white they are, don't we? But I looked this up, and there's only one saying otherwise, and it looks like it looks like someone's just not happy about it. Anyway, but look this stuff up. It's all true. So let's go to RH negative. I'm hoping I can survive to do the rest of this video. I'm not well. This giant parasite inside my body. It's moving around and it's hurting me. You imagine what it's like to have like a chest burster from aliens inside your body, only it's not small. It's like at least a few meters long, probably up to 80 feet long. That's what I have to put up with, but no one will help me get surgery. I can't get surgery because the government will kidnap me and chop me up. So the rhesus factor is an inherited protein found on the surface of red blood cells. If your blood has a protein, your Rh positive. I'm sure I got a. I wanted to get a. I got an article up. I must have closed it, but Rh negatives it's comes from my people now, because my people have been massively genocided. Part of that genocide is to do with royal family lines of different kingdoms throughout history. They rape my people and try to produce offspring with them, but because we're a different species, there's a massive mortality rate because it's not very compatible, and it's a mortality rate to the mother as well, like very high rate that the mother will die, not just the baby. So it's very difficult to reliably produce children, but they try and harvest our genes because we are the real chosen people of the old times, and because we're known to have basically we are our genome, and our blood is the holy grail. So if you got what Jesus said, with the holy grail, what did he fill the holy grail with? Symbolically, his blood and his flesh. People thought he was talking about cannibalism, and clearly he was being symbolic, and this is what he was talking about. So the Rh blood group, if we're Rh negative, if you're Rh negative, you don't have this monkey gene that everyone else has, because we're so evolutionary distant. If you have Rh negative blood, it will attack Rh positive people as though it's a foreign threat. So if your mother has an Rh negative mother has an Rh positive child, they'll both die. There'll be a big war will happen. But I'm really about to pass out. So anyway, if you look into the Rh factor, basically this is it comes from my people, and some royal family lines have tried to harvest our genes in order to justify their claim to what they call the divine right to rule, because they're trying to gain some kind of loose genetic connection to my people, because they know that my people are the ones that have that divine right to rule. So they're trying to steal it, trying to harvest it. But there's a lot I could say for a long time on Rh stuff. There's a lot of misinformation about it, but this is one of the reasons why we're classified as a different species. Now, if you're Rh negative, that doesn't necessarily mean you're one of my people. What it probably means in most cases is you had one or more ancestors that were my people, and that you're probably a crossbreed between my people, and that you probably have at least a few family members in recent generations who are redheads, and with not just normal redheads with green eyes, and they may have unusual stories about having been doctors with excessive interest in them, taking samples from them, having strange anomalies to their bodies and function and stuff like that, and there's a big question mark over them and what they are. And so if you have any Rh negative in your family, or Rh negative, and you just look for some redheads, and you'll be able to track down what's going on. And in most cases, you'll see that these people who are of this pure bloodline, they'll have a lot of similar stories about excessive interest by people with knives cutting pieces out of them and shit. Because a lot I could say on the Rh positive negative stuff, I'm just I obviously forgot to bring all the windows up, and I'm trying not to pass out here. If I need to, I'll just stop and I'll continue later. Okay, so we got a clown here. So if you look at a clown, a typical clown is like white skin, red hair with a red sunburnt nose, and they are like a jester. They're to be made fun of, and they're despicable and evil and stuff. I'll get a good example of it. Typical clown here. If I can just move my avatar. It's just a typical textbook clown. The it clown, or whatever it is. This is a trashing of my people. Because the the criminal parasites who are trying to claim to be my people, from from certain guilds and stuff like that, from pretending to be my people. They hate my people. These are like kind of like vampiric kind of people, and they're trying to impose themselves as me and my people, but they're not. And they've stolen a lot of things, and they've done a lot of really bad things, and they need to cover that up. And if the truth gets out, they'll lose everything, and they'll be hunted down for what they have done. But they're scared of my people and hate my people, and this is why they spread all these lies about my people and portray us as being such evil, despicable mockery of creatures. Alright, so what else we got here? Yeah, here we go. Here's an example. Like, was it International Kicker Ginger Day, November 20th, 2020. So it's on November 20 every year. That's exactly a week after my birthday, actually. So Kicker Ginger Day, like, in such a politically correct insanity world, yet this shit's okay. Like, we all know, the straight white male is the most persecuted of all, with an obsession. Why are they so obsessed with shitting on straight white males? Well, let's go more specific. It's not just all straight white males. It's most importantly, it's those who with red hair as well and green eyes. This is a targeted genocide. This stuff doesn't come from nowhere. It's been culturally, artificially put in to culture to persecute my people. This has been going on for a long time, and this is this hatred and fear of my people because they know what's coming. They're all thieves, and they're trying to delay and stop what's coming, and they're scared shitless. They're trying to genocide my people and impose themselves as my people. And you see here, if you just gingers don't have souls, and give an image search, you see, I'm sure everyone would know about this, the gingers don't have souls meme. And this is all the same shit. It's been going on for a long time. Obviously it got a bit more famous with this, that boy who had a rant saying I have a soul. You see me in a lot of these pictures here. But this doesn't come from nowhere. This is a targeted genocide of my people. That's obsessive genocide of my people. Is going on for a long time. So we got here. Here we go. So I said in my story, I mentioned things about what happened 13,000 years ago with genetic crossbreeding between my people and an extraterrestrial species, and these happened more than once. And they're trying to harvest my people's genetics as well. They're not, you're not getting alien hybrids with black people or even Asian people. No, they're white people, and not just any white people. This is, if you look, this is all historical evidence everywhere. Is the white redheads are being the obsessive target of this. So these aliens aren't interested in the rest of mankind's genes. They're trying to harvest this shit that's worth more than gold. They're trying to harvest these powers that we have. So if you look at the Paracas from America, and this is just one of many examples. The Paracas redhead. If you look at all this, they've you look at it. This is in YouTube search. They had red hair. These are alien-looking skulls and shit, and all these anomalies. It's always associated with red hair. I mean, the ancient Egyptian pharaohs, before they were invaded over and over, and taken over, these are the white redheads of my people. Ramses II, his DNA, and King Tut. Look at their DNA stuff. This shit gets deleted everywhere. I mean, I've got playlists with like tons of videos, and they're all deleted. Channels, videos, all deleted. Everything gets censored everywhere. The truth, they lose their shit over this stuff. I mention any of this genetic stuff or any evidence on my people. I talk about my people on anywhere on the internet. It all gets shut down. So, who knows if this is going to get shut down. That's why I said before, I have to be careful of what I say. If I say too much, this is going to get, my Facebook account will just get deleted or some shit, or banned. This happens to me over and over. I have to be careful how much I say. So the Paracas of was it Peru? I think it is Peru. They had red hair. These were obviously, look at what they are. These are some of these hybrid kind of stuff with my people. Now we got here. So yeah, it is a good. So look, I like to say I've got more battle experience than Solid Snake. Because of my cell regeneration, I grow so many cells so fast that I get damage from the damage that gets done to me is because I can't shed cells fast enough, and my body is just trying to like sandpaper itself to try and shed these cells that can't. Look, imagine that your body can shed cells, right? Just like a tree can shed leaves. Imagine if your leaves of your tree or cells of your body are growing so fast that your body can't shed them as fast as they grow. This is like Wolverine Deadpool level shit. This is why Deadpool looks a mess, because he's got this condition, this so-called condition we have when with this regeneration, this God mode shit. So this is an image of me in many battle experiences. This isn't a cell regeneration damage. This is just showing me beaten, with after like 30 haymakers to the head and shit. I've got a lot of battle experience, shit you wouldn't believe. But the point of this is, because of the cell regeneration, I need damage to heal. Damage heals me, because it damages the excess cells, and it slows down the replication, because it's killing cells and shit. And if it damages the DNA, that takes time to regenerate the DNA before they replicate again. So like, I need damage to heal me. So when I get into fights and shit like that, or even when I get poisoned and shit, depending on what it is, this stuff can actually heal me, not damage me. So being in fights and shit, it's like I'm made for war. Being in war, that heals me. It doesn't damage me. Damage heals me. As bizarre as that sounds. Here's a little picture of me, my armored suit. This stuff. This is my nature. This is what I am. This all comes naturally to me. It's just seems. This is a picture of a photo of some of my brain scan stuff, and they did all the. I've been experimenting on all kinds of shit, but this was to do with sleep studies to measure my brain waves and stuff like that. But anyway, basically this is just one page of it. My brain waves don't defy the laws, their understanding of the laws of physics, at least at the time, and they had wires in my head and shit to try and study how my brain works. And apparently, when I'm asleep, my brain is showing more activity, organized, like conscious type activity, when I'm asleep than the normal human has when they're awake. And they couldn't understand it, and what the consequences of that. Obviously, more experiments and blah 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 blah. But I will say that in this case, when they were doing all the brain scans and all that kind of stuff, they knew that I was different, and they knew what I was. And these people, they wanted to learn more about me, but they showed me a lot of respect, and they weren't like vampires upon me. They generally seem to want to do research and learn about me. And they also wanted to help me. Not everyone is like that. And obviously the information they got would have got shared around to others one way or another. Others who would want to do bad things with me. But the people then, they were actually good to me. And they knew that bad things had been done to me by doctors for a long time. And so they wanted to help me, which is a rare thing. So here we go. Here's the Last Supper. I'll just move this side to side so you can see. And this is the Last Supper of Jesus with his bunch of his disciples. And I'll just go to the other side. just so you get to see them both. Now, this is obviously a cryptic message. Everyone knows it's a cryptic message, but no one's been able to translate it. I'm trying not to black out here. I'm trying my best. So sorry if I struggle a bit. Oh. So with this famous drawing, there's different copies of it being gone down through the ages, but basically Jesus is not wearing a white robe. He's wearing a red robe. And if you look, there's two different parties in this picture. I'll just move my avatar all the way out of the way. I'll do. So you got the ones in red robes arguing with the other group, and so it's the reds against everyone else. Two different groups. And the red robe ones, they all have red hair. I think there's one of them who has grey hair, so he's probably a redhead who's gone grey. But this is this is all symbolic colouring. So Jesus has red hair and a red robe, and all these other ones have on his side who think that he's the one are of the same people. They think that he's the one. They're biased, of course, and they all have red hair and red robes. And the non-redheads are a little bit jealous of that, and they like. He's not the one, but all the redheads are like, he's the one, he is the one. So both sides have been biased, and Jesus is there trying to talk, as you can see, and no one's listening to him, except for there's one man who's not a redhead either. He's someone else, but he's in the background. He's the only one that's not really sitting at the table, and he's hiding in the background there, if you can see him, with his finger pointed up in the sky. He's pointing up to the true Messiah, because Jesus didn't claim he was the Messiah. And no one listened to what he said. They just kept going on stupid shit. They were convinced before he was born that he was the one, and he tried to explain things, and they didn't listen. But anyway, there's one in the background, the only one who's actually listening to Jesus. This is about the chosen people who are redheads and the true Messiah, who Jesus was not, but he referred to the Messiah who would come. There's a long rabbit hole there. I've gone into extensive detail on in many videos. So more Basque stuff. What was this? Here you go. Basque has the highest genetic frequency of. I think this is something to do with the redhead stuff and the. One of the reasons for the assumption of Basque antiquity and purity and genetic peculiarities of the Basques is because of the genetics of my people that they've inherited. Foremost among them is that all Basques seem to have the highest frequency of Rh negative in the world, primarily because of the high frequency of the null allele within the population. It is a recessively expressed trait, blah blah blah. There's something else. Here we go. Whoop. There we go. So here we go. The Basques may not be who we think they are. This is from Discover magazine, and it's a long article here, but basically the Basques are as I said before, they carry some of my people's old culture and language and stuff, and their language has no connection. No one knows where it's like completely alien from everything else. You go look at all these other languages in the world, you can see they came from this, they came from that, and there's a big map you can build of everything. And then there's this group over here who's got nothing to do with no one and no connection to anyone, and they've got all this culture and language and stuff that's completely alien, like no history from anywhere else. It's been self-contained and no doesn't seem to be influenced by anyone else. This is what I'm talking about. This is to do with my people who are very separate to everyone else. But what else there was? There's one more. Here, Basque language anomalies was what I'm talking about. Let's have a look. The mysterious origins of Europe's oldest language. This predates everything else. Even BBC say this. Asreka spoken in autonomous communities and it has no known origin or relation to any other language, an anomaly that has stumped linguistic experts for ages. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there's tons of shit you can find on this stuff. Dude, that's all the links that I just got before. I could do. If I wasn't so sick, I could just sit here and go on for 12 hours straight, and then do that for many other days in succession. But I wanted to do this video It's been over an hour now. I managed to get it done, but I wanted to do this video just to introduce people to, if anyone's interested in this, in the crazy sounding stuff I say about I'm a different species, about how I have being immortal and stuff like that. Now, like here we go. Let's do it again. I'm immortal. I've got rapid cell regeneration, like Deadpool or Wolverine. I have a completely different skeleton than you. I can generate nutrients inside my body that you can't. I've got microchips in my head. I've been experimented on all over the place for tissue samples. I say a lot of crazy sounding stuff, but it's all true, and it can all be proved for anyone who listens. I don't have as much ability to debate as I did, but as long as I'm able, I'll try. I don't know how long I got left. It's day by day at this point, because no one will help me get this giant parasite removed or get the medical treatment I need. But while I'm at least able, I wanted to get this video done and just show people some of the crazy sounding stuff that I say. That it's all true. It's all extensively documented, but it's not widely known among people who don't look into this kind of stuff. I mean, you have to be doing a lot of research, and you have to have at least a reasonable quality in your research and have a lot of the right skills to be able to weed out one thing from another, to be able to even get into this stuff to find out. I've known this stuff for a very long time because I'm the focus, the target of this kind of experimentation and stuff. So I hope you understand the danger I am in going to any doctor or hospital at the best of times, let alone being the founder of Anonymous with a government that wants to make me disappear and shit like on top of it. I need bodyguards. I need to go to a hospital emergency department with bodyguards to get this fucking parasite removed. But I'm hoping that anyone who is convinced that I'm just saying really batshit crazy shit, not even worth looking into, I'm hoping that this can get through to at least one. If it can get through to at least one person to open their eyes to do some research, then it's done its job, as I intended. Alright, I could talk hours and hours on this stuff, but I'm about to pass out again anyway, and I've done the little list of articles I put up. Please look into this. This is going to get increasingly important. Probably, and without a miracle, I'm going to be gone any time now. But this stuff will become more and more important, and you're best learning about it now, sooner rather than later. This is tied to everything that's going on in the world, politically, socially, the targeting of certain groups, of certain racial groups and stuff like that. This is all for a reason, and it's tied to all the stuff that I said here. And just look at my Facebook wall. So hopefully I've got a little bit more credibility to those who would not normally consider what I say. I know what I'm talking about, and I didn't get this shit off the internet. This is first-hand experience. Shit you wouldn't believe. Look into it, please.